This is definitely one of the scariest episodes, featuring zombies popping up and chasing the kids through a river of blood. So cozy up in a warm hoodie, grab your candy corn, and enjoy as we explore the dozens of Easter eggs, missable details, and themes in this Halloween masterpiece. Welcome back to Channel 626. I'm Mitchell, and this is a breakdown of Phineas and Ferb, That's the Spirit. Alright, so we mostly get a very normal title sequence until the end, where it becomes Halloween specific. This portion is reused in Drusselstein-Oween, so if you want to see all the changes, make sure to go check out my last video. This one starts with the Flynn Fletcher kids out trick-or-treating. You can see the mummy from Are You My Mummy walking down the sidewalk. The people handing out candy identify their costumes for us.
Frankenstein, Count Dracula, and some kind of Igor or something.
And you'll notice that Ferb's costume is the same one that he dons in One Good Scare Ought to Do It. As any older sibling can relate to, Candace is not too pleased to have her picture taken in this situation. Although apparently she did wear her hair like that 2 years ago.
I haven't worn my hair like this in 2 years!
When they meet up with the rest of the gang, we can hilariously see someone dressed up as the giant floating baby head. Buford then voices what we've all thought before.
What kind of person hands out these weird orange peanuts?
Those weird orange peanuts are called circus peanuts and were one of the original penny candies. But when they come across an extraordinarily spooky house, Buford has a change of heart.
I'm gonna give those orange peanuts a second look.
And then they meet Russell, and Isabella does my job for me by explaining his name.
Oh, Russell, like the leaves.
She also does this later in the episode.
I'm Russell's dad, Waylon.
And I'm his mom, Mona.
Russell, Waylon, and Mona? They're like themed for Halloween or something.
Thanks, Isabella. When Russell tells them that the house is haunted, Ferb flashes an impressive array of ghost-busting gadgets. The things I can identify here are dentures, a fake nose, earplugs, a camera, a microscope, a ring, a pen, a video camera, flashlights, a speaker, goggles, a radio, EMF readers, which come in handy later, and a jar with a glowing ghost in it. You can always count on Ferb. Then Phineas uses what must be a very intentional phrase.
Let's bust us some ghosts.
1, it's an obvious nod to Ghostbusters, and 2, the word bust convinces Candace to come with them.
Nobody's doing any busting around here without me.
When they first walk into the house, you can see glowing eyes scattered everywhere. And the chandelier reminds me of this one from Emperor's New Groove. But that might just be me looking for an excuse to use this clip.
And I bet you weren't expecting this.
No!
Aha!
Oh, okay.
There's a crow in the foreground, which is a standard Halloween animal, but I can't help but think about Maleficent's bird from Sleeping Beauty. When the door shuts and the lights go out, we hear Isabella say,
Don't panic, anyone.
How can I panic when I'm holding your hand?
I think that's my hand.
Ew!
which also happened in another episode.
Don't worry, it'll be all right.
Isabella and Phineas, man, always missing each other. And one of Ferb's flashlights comes in handy when Baljeet says,
Where is Patty?
Then a pumpkin creepily emerges from the floor, and we get a great version of this running gag.
Aren't you a little young to be hunting ghosts?
Yes! Yes, we are!
And notice that Ferb moves as if he's talking like the rest of the group, but doesn't actually say anything. Classic Ferb. The pumpkin guy reminds me a lot of this background monster in a previous Halloween episode. As they run away, they fall through the floor into a strangely enormous basement. Isabella calls this out for us.
How big is this basement?
And we hear some very self-aware ghosts.
I have a tremulous voice.
I'm non-corporeal, and that's scary.
I'm not a ghost. I'm a sheet that lives.
And then the pumpkin monster emerges from what looks to be a crypt elevator and chases them through a river of blood where several zombies rise up and start listing off various organs.
Brains, spleen, pancreas.
Russell says,
Did I mention the zombies?
yes, he did.
Ghosts, zombies, vampires?
After they find out it was all just a ruse by Russell's family, a mob runs through the house trampling Candace, but no one else. This is a strangely common occurrence to Candace.
Too loud with all the a waste of my time.
And Phineas must watch a lot of scary movies because he knows exactly what usually happens at this point in the show.
Isn't this the moment in one of these things when someone really turns into a ghost?
Dude, that's it.
While all this was happening, Perry was off on his own adventure. He entered his lair by jumping through a pumpkin right outside the door of the haunted house. His lair and the Alka headquarters are decorated for Halloween exactly like they are in Drusselstein-Oween. Carl and Monogram are dressed as each other, and Carl hilariously calls out,
But I couldn't get both my eyes on the same side of my nose.
part of Major Monogram's intelligence is that leather shops are being graffitied. And if you pause, you can see that the graffiti is of a milk carton and also an udder. When Perry arrives at Doofenshmirtz's place, his door says, "Go away, stay back, no candy." This must be because of what we see inside, because we know from Drusselstein that he normally does pass out candy. Doofenshmirtz then explains what's going on, including the literal application of the phrase, "Give him a piece of my mind."
What I needed was a cow that was motivated not by hunger, but by a powerful hatred of grass, like my own. Burning antipathy. So I invented the Mind-Transfer-inator to give that cow a piece of my mind.
The newspaper says 14 innocent crops grazed. And we find out what's really happening when Doof transforms into a werecow, forcing Perry to channel his inner cowboy. When the werecow breaks into the grocery store, you can read the subtitle of the Yogi snacks, which says mutant raisin with sugar. Not sure who's eating that. The person working the petting zoo is the same ranger from Mount Rushmore. And this couple were obviously prepared for their date going poorly.
You brought a torch on our date?
Hello, pitchfork.
And they end up forming a mob to chase down the werecow. We see that Doofenshmirtz changed back into himself because the moon went behind the clouds, but it doesn't last long. The mob and the werecow obey traffic lights during their chase, just like they do in The Magnificent Few.
Well, what do you know? It works!
I love the lyrics of the song during this chase montage.
They got pitchforks and other implements of farming. I don't think they're in a planting mood.
Then we get a cheeky reference to the trope where people hide behind poles and other things that are too skinny to conceal them.
He could be hiding behind any one of these poles.
I'm looking at you, Anakin and Padme. The mob gets cups of water during their chase, just like people running a marathon. And as the werecow runs away from the mob, we see things that scare him flashing in front of his eyes, like a pitchfork, a torch, and hilariously, steak. Then Perry and Phineas's stories intersect when the mob runs through the haunted house covered in flour. That's actually the last we see of Perry and Doofenshmirtz. We don't really get a resolution to what happened. Okay, let's talk about the timeline briefly. This is at least the second episode set on Halloween, the other one being Drusselstein. But if we're to understand that this takes place during the fall immediately after the summer of most of their adventures, then were both of these episodes on the same day? One clue that we get is Candace mentioning Jeremy's party multiple times.
I'm walking with you until we get to Jeremy's, and then I am out of here. I'm missing Jeremy's party. Some of us have somewhere to be.
Now here there's a slight possibility that she's actually referring to Vanessa's castle party from Drusselstein, which Jeremy was in attendance for. It seems like a bit of a stretch, but I thought I'd mention it. I'd love your input. Let me know in the comments if you think those two episodes actually take place on the same Halloween day. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you haven't seen the breakdowns of my other Ferbtober videos, make sure to check those out. And until next time, remember,
there's no platypus controlling you.
There's no platypus controlling me.
Well, it counts. It doesn't.
Real soon.